Hi everyone, another exciting episode of Between Two Clouds. Today the topic of excitement, or topic du jour, is talking a little bit about understanding what's going on in the customer service segment of businesses, which is, I think, it's a topic perhaps operations groups are sometimes very interested in, and perhaps some other groups in organisations as well. Troy, I think you had a couple of examples.
Yeah, that's right. I think, sort of call center analytics has been around for a long time, and there's been a lot of systems around it. But I think now with certainly with Google, what we're finding is that organizations are actually able to unlock that data that they had. They're not beholden into a system which is, let's be honest, a bit antiquated, and apply modern AI techniques to that data, which in Australia and Australian call centers is pretty massive, and so the business value that those operations teams are able to unlock by understanding it's pretty significant.
So it's a pretty thorny business problem, and I think there's probably a few areas maybe you could unpick where Google Cloud's capabilities really add some value in the projects we've been seeing. I guess there's scalability, right? So the volumes of voice calls can be hundreds of thousands or millions per month, depending on the business we're talking about, which is a lot of data. There's problems around pattern recognition of speech and kind of natural language processing. And then, of course, there's problems around, what are people really talking about in the totality of a conversation, and how is the customer feeling during the call about that conversation. Do you want to talk about those different areas of it?
Yeah, so certainly for sentiment analysis, often it's just been scored as like a single number, out of some of these older systems. But, using Google Cloud, you can get a view across the whole call about sort of how the sentiment is progressing. You match that to the transcript and understand sort of the customer. And so not only knowing the customer, as a whole corpus of calls, but individually, why did this person, raise a complaint, or why did this sale actually work? And you can sort of drill into that. So that's a great use case.
Yeah, and I think, the old way of just at the end press star to leave an NPS number, people only really do it when they're pretty pissed off with the outcome.
That's right.
I think seeing into the detail of the call as well and going, this type of agent who's successfully getting an outcome in a call, here's the thing that they use to turn the conversation around from a complaint to a success.
And I think what's really important with how Google's approached this is obviously that their openness, their open source. So AI techniques are getting applied to that problem and evolving, because it is also a very fast evolving market. So that is getting applied to that call analysis, which means it can evolve openly. You're not getting locked into a vendor, a piece of hardware that's probably 10 years old. So that's really important, and it's allowed us to address a lot of different use cases and address the problem sort of immediately using AI and data science.
Yeah, I think maybe the customizable side of it's something that we've seen as being really important as well. So customizing for a business's nomenclature to kind of understand the right nouns and the things.
Taxonomy, ontology, and you've got calls from Philippine call centers, from a lot of offshore. You've got the Australian market as well. The Perth accent's quite a bit different than the accents on the East Coast. So all of that, being able to adapt to that is really important. And it's important to have it in your solution for doing call center analytics.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And I think lastly, I guess we've seen an application of this around complaints in the FSI industry. So there's a particular piece of regulatory guidance coming out from ASIC in RG 271, which kind of tells financial services companies very specifically how they have to define and handle complaints in that process.
Yep.
So kind of a key use case to remove a lot of risk if they don't comply with that ASIC requirement.
Yeah, yep, certainly. So it's beyond just sort of sentiment. It's now moved into compliance and reporting, and being able to do that using the same system and techniques.
Okay, wonderful. And anything else worth mentioning from the Google sphere on that one? Maybe the speech-to-text and text-to-speech market-leading capabilities?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, being able to apply your custom taxonomy against that speech-to-text, and then have different types of calls, callers, let's say, between two tradies rather than, an end customer or something like that. So all of that plays into being adaptive and to get good speech-to-text out.
Fantastic. All right, awesome. We'll see you next time.